If you have a big goal for your distance running, whether that's to finish a race strong, run a sub 4-hour marathon, perhaps qualify for Boston, something that's really important is that you embrace the parts of the process that you really don't want to do. Whether that's because it's boring, it's time consuming, it's overwhelming, or it downright scares you. If you want to reach your potential and achieve at your highest level, you don't get to pick and choose what you do and don't do. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 areas where I get the most pushback that often seem to be the areas where people purposely skip simply because they just don't want to do those parts of the process. And so I'm telling you guys today, if you can wholeheartedly embrace them, you have a great chance of turning your dreams into a reality. So the first thing is that you need to build a strong foundation first and foremost, and that comes from lots and lots of easy running. I would say hands down, the thing that I get the most resistance on from athletes is actually going at a true easy effort. Sometimes people think that they're going at an easy pace, but oftentimes it's more so that they continuously say that they're going at an easy pace and they won't even try to slow down, even when there are certain factors that are showing them that they're not going easy enough, whether that's their heart rate or they're just not, able to comfortably talk or they're getting injured. So what I've really noticed for many is that easy is actually hard. Runners feel like the pace is inefficient. They say it feels off. They don't like that they feel like they're not getting a workout. It's not fun to do. Yeah, these slow runs are often thought of as a slow burn, and they do offer mental fatigue. And when you think about the types of races we're running, if it's a marathon, yeah, there's a lot of slow burn and mental fatigue in that particular event. And so in order to, achieve at a high level in that particular distance, you're going to have to get really, really comfortable with that slow burn, that mental fatigue, and lots of time at an easy effort, because you're running a marathon or a half marathon, and that is a highly, highly aerobic event. So the only way that you're going to get better is by spending lots of time on your feet at lots and lots of easy pace. This is the foundation. You have to do this first before you start throwing in all of the other parts that maybe seem more fun and exciting. So if you can really nail this down, then all of the other pieces start to fit together. And if you disagree with me, I had a viewer recently who basically said that I just think slow running isn't for everyone. And my response to that is, do you want to be great, or do you just want to do what you want to do? And if you want to just do, the faster running because that's what you like to do, great, then do that. If you want to be great at distance running and continue to reach your goals and achieve at a high level, you're going to have to start being okay with the easy mileage. It's most of what you're going to need to be doing. So once you have this solid foundation where you can spend a lot of time at your easy effort zone, it's time to be okay with learning to hurt. So what do I mean by this? It's where your speed sessions are concerned. You are getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Basically, once or twice a week, you are giving yourself the opportunity to suffer. You are in a run that hurts, it doesn't feel good, you want it to be over, and yet you allow yourself to continue on through the session because you know that it's going to pay dividends. So something that I've really noticed about the runners who make the most progress are the ones who don't give up on the quality sessions. And I'm not saying that you can't ever abandon ship, every once in a while. Sometimes that is the smart thing to do. But generally speaking, the athletes who make the most progress over and over and over again are the ones who are going out for the quality sessions. They say that it was really hard. They say that it sucked. They wanted it to be over, and yet they pushed through and they did it anyway. So here's kind of an example of what I mean and what I see. So let's say we have a 20-minute tempo run. We have a 3:45 marathoner who's going to be doing that tempo pace at 8 minutes per mile. We have a 4:45 marathoner who's going to be doing that tempo run at a 9:45 per mile pace. So they're both getting a 20-minute tempo run, but they both get to do it at the level of fitness that they are at. It's not like I'm asking the 4:45 marathoner to be doing the same pace as the 3:45 marathoner. That's not what I'm talking about. So when these two runners go out and do their tempo runs, they have the ability within them to do this pace for 20 minutes. The reality is that 20 minutes at tempo pace does not feel good. This is why this is such a bread and butter workout of, pretty much all distance running programs, is because it isn't comfortable. You do want to stop, and it's very mentally taxing that you have to stay within it, and you have to convince yourself that you can. So what I notice is that the people who are making the most progress are the ones who time and time again can continue to hit those speed sessions. And, a different runner, even though they're being given the same type of workout at their level, they are continuously not able to hit it. They're having to stop and walk. They're splitting it up. They're just saying they couldn't do it. And so ultimately, this has shown me that there definitely is this element among the highest achievers that they have an ability to suffer. And so you have to put yourself in those situations to be uncomfortable, to be hurting, and to push through all the way to the end if you want to continue to, get better and reach the potential that you want to and get those goals that you have for yourself. All right, so the third one, something that I see time and time again that people just don't do that they really need to be doing, is what I'll call doing the extras. So basically, this is anything outside of running. As runners, we enjoy running typically. It's what we like, it's what we love. And so that's usually not the problem. It's all of the other things that matter that are going to push that runner to the next level that the person is essentially refusing to do, or it just gets put by the wayside, or whatever you want to call it, right? But the thing is if running is all you focus on, you won't be as strong of a runner, and you're likely going to get injured as well. So what am I talking about here? Strength training, proper fueling, mobility work, pre-run dynamic stretching, doing those glute activation exercises before you have a speed session, recovery, nutrition, and sleep, and attending to that sleep is a huge one as well. They are all necessary components to you doing your best, and you have to be willing to put the time and effort towards each of these components if you want to reach those high-level goals that you have for yourself. So the fourth thing that you have to be willing to do is carve out the time. So I will hear things such as, I don't have enough time. I can only do this much. This came up, and so I wasn't able to get my run in today. Such and such was essentially more important. They might not say that, but we all know that we have to make running a priority, and it has to be a big priority in our life if we are going to achieve what we want to achieve. And that's just the truth of it. So, yep, I usually tell my athletes, family first, work second. And after that, your running is probably going to be third, especially if you are in the middle of marathon training or a big block or something like that. And I'm not saying ignore your friends, ignore other hobbies that are important to you. But again, if this is something that's really important to you, you have to make it a true priority, and you're going to have to cut out other things in your life to make time for this. When a runner habitually misses runs, it's not usually due to a true lack of time. It's more due to making it a priority and making it a part of their routine and preparing well for it. If you lack the preparation, it's likely not going to get done. If you lack putting it into your day as part of your routine, it's probably not going to get done. So if you have a big goal, you have to figure out how you're going to make these runs happen. I've worked with plenty of runners who have very busy schedules, who have families, who work full time, and they are doing, 50, 60, 70 plus mile weeks because they know that that's what it takes. It depends on what your goal is. If you have a very high level goal, qualifying for Boston, getting sub 3 hours, you're going to have to run lots and lots of volume. And at the end of the day, if you want it bad enough, you're going to figure out how to carve out the time to make that happen. And the last one is just sticking with it. So many times people just want to abandon everything, or they feel like they want to quit because it isn't working. And this is just part of the process. People want to take these big chunks of time off because they feel like they've earned a break. And that's fine. If you don't have these really, really high level goals for yourself that you're trying to achieve, then yeah, you can take that break off. Go do something else instead. That's completely your prerogative. Otherwise, you have to push yourself through kind of those time periods each year when typically maybe you haven't run in the past or you don't want to. If you are someone who usually likes to build up for a big race, have the race, and then take lots of time off, or I have runners who just don't like running through the winter because it's bitter cold, they're relished to the treadmill because of that said awful weather, and so they just don't do it because they don't want to. And the fact of the matter is that's one of the biggest areas that can launch you to the next level as a runner. I always say, no matter the reason, inconsistency is inconsistency. So whether it's for a good reason or a bad reason, inconsistency to your body, it doesn't care. And you will lose your fitness essentially. So if you want to continue to have your fitness, build your fitness, you're going to have to run through those particular seasons of life where you don't want to. That doesn't mean that you have to have high volume all the time as when you're specifically in training mode, but you have to keep a pretty good level of consistency during that time. Once you can get over the fact that these big goals likely are not going to happen in 1 or 2 years, maybe 5 years, and that you are willing to play the long game, that's where you're going to start seeing these big jumps in your progress starting to happen. The best recipe for success is consistency, repeated work, cycle over cycle, year over year. If you keep layering little by little, you will see the gains that you're hoping for.